All right, we just checked out Battleborn, and now we're here with Chris Thomas from 2K to talk more about it. So it seems we played the single-player story mode, and what the story is that all the stars in the galaxy are dying. It's almost the end of days, 6 hours away, and 25 heroes from different worlds have come together to try and stop that. Will they succeed? We don't know yet. As a Borderlands player, I felt a lot of similarities in the HUD, maybe in the player classes. How familiar will Borderlands players find this game?
Well, that was actually a big thing that we wanted to hit. You know, we wanted the universes to be completely different, and the game is so wild and unique, but we wanted to feel familiar.
So we have 25 characters. How do we play through a single story with all these different points of view? So
the way it's set up is you can play any of one of the characters throughout the missions, and you're not locked into a specific character. But the way the narrative is told, the narrative isn't told in a way that if you're playing one of the characters, it's going to not make sense. So it doesn't even really matter which characters you play, and you can actually try them all. Like, you can go through the entire single player story mode, and you'll understand the whole narrative, regardless of what character that you pick.
What would you describe the different I would say factions are all from? There was one that seemed like fantasy, one that seemed like military, future. I can only describe one as steampunk. I'm not really sure.
So there's the Peacekeepers, which are like Montana and Oscar Mike, and they're basically like protectors. Like, they want to defend the soulless system and defend the weak, essentially. There's the Eldred. The Eldred are the Thorns and the Mikos, yes, and they're more they magic based, and they have their whole thing is that they want to maintain the natural order of things. Like, they don't want anyone meddling with stars being burned out or anything like that. They're kind of the hippies of the group. Then there is the Last Light Consortium, the LLC, and yeah.
It was a business.
Yes, well, they're the war profiteers of this universe, and that's the Gentleman Sniper Marquis. Their whole thing is that they're just trying to gain power by profiting on this war. They're going to sell their weapons and their tech to anybody that'll buy it. The Rogues, they're more mercenary pirate types, and then there is the Generate Empire. That's Wrath, the kind of vampire-looking guy. And their whole thing is they're gonna rule by force. They're the ones that they respect power above everything else. So all those factions are actually fighting each other, and that is part of how we're explaining the multiplayer. It's this big civil war between these factions, and the 25 playable characters are all from these different factions, but they have to come together and band together and to try and fight this evil force that's destroying the stars. But there's 3 modes in multiplayer. There's Devastation, Incursion, and Meltdown. And Incursion is probably the one that was most inspired by MOBA gameplay. You have two bases at each end of the map that you're trying to get to, and you have AI-controlled minions that are helping you get there. So you're having to destroy sentries along the way to eventually kill the other person's base. Devastation is more of a familiar like capture and hold style map, but it feels totally different than any other capture and hold modes that you've played before because of how varied the characters are. Because you'd be playing Thorn in one match and sniping someone. The next match you might be playing Wrath and running around and doing a lot of melee and like hacking and slashing, which is like a totally different feel. And then Meltdown is really interesting. You have the AI-controlled minions, and you're having to escort them across the map to these different points where they get essentially incinerated, and you gain points for your team when they get destroyed. So you're having to escort your minions while destroying the other team's minions, because they're also trying to do the same thing, and you're also fighting against the other team players at the same time. So it gets really chaotic.
Right. Are we seeing more? Borderlands is pretty famous for having split-screen co-op. Are we seeing that in this game?
We're definitely seeing that in this game. Yep, it's going to be 2-player split screen, so you can play this game on your couch with whoever you want.
So I want to address this. A lot of people on the internet are drawing comparisons between Battleborn and Overwatch. How would you differentiate Battleborn?
Sure. I think the biggest thing is our story. I mean, our story is going to be huge and epic and full of Gearbox type humor, stuff. You're gonna fall in love with these characters. You're gonna like have that sort of experience that you had with Borderlands, and I think if anything, that's what is really setting us apart. And obviously, I'm a little biased, but I think our characters are just kick-ass.
Are we gonna ever see any hints of the Borderlands world?
It's a good question. We're definitely keeping the universes separate. It's a good idea. It's a totally good idea, but we want to keep the universes completely separate. Honestly, we've been wanting to get this in people's hands for a long time. Gearbox has put a lot of love into making this game, and we're just happy that it's here and people are getting their hands on it and people seem excited about it. So, if you get a chance,
When can we all get our hands on it?
This winter.
Yay.
For PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Winter is coming. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Yes, appreciate it.